Stephanie Bain, I have a books. I'm a book nerd. There's so many books. Hello everyone, Stephanie here. Today's video is going to be my top 10 of 2016. You have to comment down below and let me know what your favorite books were of 2016, but I'm really excited to share with you my picks. I'm just really excited. Let's not even get into it because this video might be a little long. I'm going to try not to make it too long though. Try being the main word. The first one I have here is the Match Trilogy by Ali Condi. I've only read the first two books, and if you don't know what it's about a girl who lives in a utopian world where on, I don't remember what birthday it is. I want to say it's like your 15th or 16th birthday. You get a little ceremony, and you go to the ceremony, you get a chip, and they let you know who your future husband or wife is going to be. You get matched with someone. Cassia ends up getting a chip, finding out who it is, but when she gets home to look at her chip, it has someone else's photo, and that's where the story takes off. I love this because the weight of the words. I love this because it's such a like low-key dig at government and systems and how everything works out and like socialism and whatnot. I love this because it was so beautifully written and it's so simplistic, and while it does have a love triangle, I felt that it was one of the most, like, it honestly makes sense and it's gorgeous. The second book I loved even more than the first, and I do and don't want to reread. I want to because obviously I need to see how it finishes, and I don't because I don't want it to be over, but I love it so much. Number 9 is My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry by Frederick Backman. This story follows a young girl named Elsa who's only 7 years old and her grandmother who is 77 years old who passes away, and when her grandmother passes away she leaves her a series of letters that Elsa needs to deliver. Now the thing is her grandmother, obviously while she was still living, would tell her these stories about a kingdom and like fairies and a monster and all these other things in this magical world, and Elsa starts realizing that maybe the story is a lot more real than she thinks. This story broke my heart. While it took me a little bit to get into, it's one of those things where it's more about a young girl learning to deal with loss and realizing that the horrible things can create beautiful stories. So many levels to it. I love the characters. It's such a kooky, crazy cast of characters in the story that some, while you don't like them, you love them at the same time. And it was an emotional read. It was something I took a lot away from, and I honestly thoroughly love this. It's so beautiful. Numero ocho. ACOTAR series by Sarah J. Maas. I read it this year. I'm so excited I actually read this. I gave both of them 5 out of 5 stars. Obviously, all of these books are 5 out of 5 stars for the most part. I'm not even going to mention that. But this story follows a girl named Feyre who lives in a world where there are fairies. I said her name right? I don't know why. The other day I said it wrong. I said Freya. That's why. Feyre lives in a world where there are fairies, and the fairies take over most of the lands and whatnot, and the mortal, regular human world is a very small portion. But while she's out hunting, she sees a wolf, kills a wolf, but actually the wolf was really a fairy, and then she's taken into the fairyland, aka Beauty and the Beast retelling. I adored this. I loved it. The romance was so on point. I'm just like, it has so many layers and I just adore it. It's an amazing fantasy that, yes, people are always hyping up, but for good reason. Hence why I'm up here also hyping it up. But I love it. Sarah J. Maas's writing is beautiful. This was my first time experiencing her writing, and I can't wait for the third book. Number 7 is We Know It Was You by Maggie Thrash. This story follows Benny and Virginia, who in their school, a mascot had committed suicide. A girl, she was a girl mascot, committed suicide, and Benny is in charge of the mystery club in his school. So him and his only member, Virginia, want to find out what happened. And this story, there's just some weird shit in here. Okay, let me just say that. It's one of those stories where it goes there and like out there, way out of the box. Like, but can I just say that it's so much fun. It was hilarious. I loved it. I loved the weird direction the story went and how believable the weird direction of the story was. It was one of my favorite YA mysteries in general. Like, it was so good. So good. I highly recommend this. It's definitely one of those stories where you really don't know what the hell's going on. Okay? You don't know. You really don't. What number was I on? Guys, my dumbass just forgot. Ah, numero seis. A Study in Charlotte by Brittany Cavallaro. I read this in the beginning of the year. It's a Sherlock Holmes, not retelling, but like continuation, assuming that the stories were real. That Sherlock Holmes really did exist along with Watson. And it's about Jamie and Charlotte, and they end up getting put together in the exact same school, and everyone's excited because, oh my god, there's a Holmes and a Watson and they're together, and someone is framing them for murder, but they're redoing the murders of the old Sherlock Holmes stories. This was so much fun. I love the writing. I love the world. I loved the weirdness, and I love how Charlotte is, and I love how Jamie is, and I adore this duo. I root and I ship them so hard, but like I can't say anything else. Like I just loved it so much, and I highly recommend it. It's so good. Now we're into the top 5. I'm telling you, I'm trying to go through this as quick as I can because I've talked about these books so much this year that like I feel like there's only so much I can say. Okay. Number 5 is Voyager by Diana Gabaldon. I know, kind of shocking that it's not like higher than that, but while I thoroughly loved this book because, I mean, I love this story, I love what happened, I can't tell you much about it, but the first book, if you don't already know, is about a woman named Claire who, while she's in Scotland with her husband on like a 2nd anniversary after the war and being reunited, she goes through some stones, goes back to 1743, and meets a hot Scottish man named Jamie. This continuation was so good. I can't wait for season 3. Let me just say that right now. But oh my god, I loved this book. So good. Hungry to get through, but worth every moment of it. Okay? Every moment. So worth it. Number 4 is... I was going to say Red Rising Trilogy. Number 4 is the 5th Wave Trilogy by Rick Yancey. I read the whole trilogy this year. This was an amazing science fiction, confusing as shit in some parts. And I love it because, like I say, oh, well, if you don't know what 5th Wave is about, because this is a hype book, but I don't know if you actually know. It's about a girl, Cassie, who lives in a world where all of a sudden aliens come to Earth and they start getting rid of the human population in waves. There's, you know, power outages, disease, and natural disasters and whatnot. And this book starts taking place when they're ready for the 5th wave, which I can't say anything. But can I just say that from the first book where you're being introduced to the world and it's really fast-paced and action-packed, that the 2nd and 3rd books are still my favorite. I love the direction it went in. The 2nd book started more character development and character strengthening, and that is what carried the 2nd book, and there was just a lot more emotional in the 2nd book, and it's a lot shorter than the first book, but it packed such a nice punch. And the 3rd book was one of my all-time favorite endings to a trilogy series in general. This one, even more with the characters, even more with their emotions and how their emotions were driving the story. That is what the story was about. Don't get me wrong, there's still action and it still has nice pacing, but I love the direction the series went in. I adored it. I cried. I laughed. And it was just such a beautiful trilogy, and I adore it. One of my favorites ever. Number 3 is The 100 Lies of Lizzie Lovett by Chelsea Sidoti. I have never read about a character that mentally I just felt so connected with. This story follows a girl named Hawthorne Creeley who lives in a small town, and Lizzie Lovett was a popular girl that used to go to her high school. One day they wake up and Hawthorne's brother is like, Lizzie Lovett's missing. And Hawthorne ends up going into this mission to find out the mystery of Lizzie Lovett. What happened to her? And she ends up placing herself in Lizzie Lovett's shoes. But this story is more than just the mystery of Lizzie Lovett. It's also the discovery and growth of Hawthorne Creeley as a person. It's about her kooky reality and all these things that happen and how you don't really know anyone. Doesn't matter what they put out there to the world. You don't know who they are inside. This was such a beautiful read. I loved Hawthorne so much. I connected with her so much. I thought the story was beautiful. There's a lot of great quotes in here that I technically can't quote because this is an art copy. I still need to get my original final copy. But either way, this story is absolutely beautiful. And it's amazing. I really can't say anything else. I adore it. I love it so much. so much. Okay, so much. Number 2, these really shouldn't be surprises, number 2 and number 1. Number 2 is Antidoctors by Kirsten White. The story is a Vlad the Impaler retelling, so you get a lot about the Ottoman Empire and whatnot, and the wars that happened at that time, and the creation of Vlad the Impaler. The thing is, it's gender swapped, so Vlad in history is Leda in the books, who is a girl, who's not beautiful, she's brutal, she's just angry and badass, and then it's about her brother, Radu. Why did that take me so long to remember his name? Yeah, Radu. I don't know why I forgot. And, you know, Leda and Radu go to the Ottoman Empire, and they're being raised by them because their father did some, like, weird thing. Ottoman courts. And it has Mehmed. It has LGBTQ aspects in here. The characters aren't your average. The romance is completely irrelevant to the story because it's very minimal, which I also love, but it's just a beautiful world. That's my nephew. It's a beautiful world. It has amazing characters, and there's just so much, and it's brutal. I mean, and that's not, it's just the beginning. I feel like it's gonna get worse and more amazing as the story continues, but I loved everything about this story. I, again, highly recommend it. And number 1, which is not a surprise, is Morning Star by Pierce Brown. I'm so glad that I can say another Pierce Brown book is on my top 10 list, 5 list, whatever I usually do. This is the ending to the Red Rising trilogy. It was everything and more. It was heartbreaking. It was beautiful. I was angry and happy, and I cannot wait for Iron Gold to come out in August. And can I just say, like, holy shit, this book, again, just took me on a roller coaster of emotions because you never know what the hell's gonna happen. I loved it. I adored it. It was everything I wanted it to be and more, like I just said. I did say that already. I love it. What can I say? Those are my top 10 books/series. See, I kind of cheat. Okay? Because if not, they'd really, it wouldn't be very long. But those are the books that really just, like, while I enjoyed everything I read this year, 2016, these are the ones that I honestly stuck with me and that I honestly just, like, can't stop thinking about. I'm always like, oh my god, I want to reread this. I want to reread that. I have mentionables, of course, but there's just too many. I loved Endgame, and I loved the prequel novella to Endgame, Training Diaries. I loved freaking The Legacy of Kings, but I read that really at the end of the year, and I just don't think it would have beat out any of these books. I adored Red Queen. I loved the Red Queen books. Like, I just enjoyed so much the Alpha Drive series, and I loved, you know, like, everything I read was so good. Oh my god, Wild Swans by Jessica Spotswood was another really amazing one that just, like, tickled my heart, and it made me cry. But I read a lot of great books, but these are the ones that I'm constantly going back and thinking about. Whether I mention it, I know I mentioned some of these more than others, but these are the books I'm constantly thinking about. These are the ones I'm always wanting to reread. These are the ones I'm always talking about to people, and I just adored them so much. So comment down below some of your favorite books in 2016. Do you agree, disagree with me on the books that I chose as my favorites? I'm just curious. You guys know me, I'm always curious. But anyway, that is my video, and I'll see you in my next video. That is my video. That is the end of the video, and I'll see you in my next video. I can't speak. Bye!